Hey guys, it's K420 and I am back. Oh, this one's a little close to the heart. Very personal for me because, as most of you know, I just celebrated my 11 years clean from opiates. And I know personally, as a female, when you talk about being an opiate addict, or having a friend who OD'd, you get much less pity from the community, put it that way. And so suddenly, because these women out there are falling subject to this sick epidemic that pharmaceutical companies have thrust upon our new generation, um, suddenly they're forced to do things that they never thought they would do. And then when something happens to them, there's not such a big cry for justice as there would have been. I don't know if they had maybe just been normal young ladies, as they like to say. But guess what? This is the nature of our generation. This is the nature of the last decade. It's taken a third of our young ones away from us. You know how many people that is that could have been the cure for had made the cure for cancer, all because one particular family wanted to get rich. All right, well, let's get into this, guys. The other stuff, of course. There we go. All right. So this is the story of two young ladies from Ohio. Ohio is probably I would say it's a battle between Ohio and a couple other small states. But I would say ground zero, if you'd like me to call, if you can, I picture that in your head. It is the ground zero of the opiate addiction epidemic, and very little resources, very little knowledge for the parents raising these children. But guess what? It's not just children. Um, I back 11 years ago found myself, one of the very first groups to really test the medical profession as to what to do with me, this opiate addict. And so 11 years later, you would think there would be all of these things in place for these women, and unfortunately, there's nothing better today. Maybe even worse. I mean, the situation is much worse today because the system is just overflowed. It's not just affecting women, it's affecting young boys, it's affecting elderly, it's affecting children of doctors and doctors themselves, and lawyers and teachers and policemen. And this is not a disease that discriminates. So, without further ado, I want you to hear the story of Danielle Greene and Lindsey Maccabee, because there hasn't been very many people listening to their voice or being their voice. And I guess I feel that when it comes to justice, that's an equal opportunity thing. When you've been a victim of a horrific crime, I don't care what you did 5 minutes before that crime happened. You're a victim of a horrific crime. And from that moment on, I'm not going to judge you by the life you lived before that. So, excuse me. Let's talk about these girls. Columbus, Ohio. Both deaths are officially classified as homicides. Both were women found dead in Fairfield County, abandoned in fields. Both from the south side of Columbus. Both were mothers of two daughters, and both struggled with addiction. Lindsey Lee Maccabee, 30, was found by a passerby on Lake Road near Pleasantville in October. Maccabee was found nude with some trauma to her body, officials said. 1 month later, Danielle Greene, 25, was found by a farmer mowing a soybean field. Her remains were skeletonized, according to a release. There have been no arrests yet in either death. Sergeant Jared Collins, commander of Fairfield County Sheriff's Office Detective Bureau, says the cases are being worked on every single day. We are going to continue to work until we can't work it anymore or until we get that big break we're looking for, Collins says. Detectives are spending time in South Columbus interviewing involved parties and following up on leads. Scott Greene, Danielle's father, said his daughter knew Maccabee and that they even sometimes stayed together, which gets a little creepy, guys, because the place they stayed together was near a place where a lot of these girls prostitute, and it was, believe it or not, at a place called, I believe, like Lost area, Home for the Lost Children or something. But you look it up and you'll find nothing legitimate on it. And so I begin to wonder if this was more of a flop house to protect girls of the night, or girls who had addictions and that, were not safe on the streets. So, real quick, I just want to touch Lindsey Maccabee. This is the mother talking. I don't want to read the whole article because I'm going to play a little video for you guys from Crime Watch, who also got involved in this. But you may ask yourself why these two girls who obviously weren't found together, and when they were found at different times and in different stages of death and decomp, why I would even be bringing their case up together. And it's because not just I, but many people in this area feel that there's some girls that have gone missing that have some very some similarities that maybe law enforcement isn't looking at as much as they should be. And we're going to get into all that. So just really quickly, I'd like to bring up, I want to talk about Lindsey Maccabee for a minute because her story is very much like mine. Maccabee said her daughter Lindsey was a good girl, someone that loved life and loved pleasing other people more than anything. Pleasing other people more than anything, though. She loved her two daughters. But when Alana 4 and Adriana 9, were taken away from their mother, Maccabee said that broke Lindsey. She didn't care what happened to her anymore. She gave up. 2 months later, Lindsey was dead. And I just want to say it's that easy to just give up. You fight and fight and fight this addiction because you do have children and you want to get better. You may not be good at fighting it, but you don't stop. But the minute they take your reason for fighting away, sometimes you end up in worse situations than you were to begin with. So let's skip over here and watch this real quick. This is Crime Watch Daily. They went and met the families and whatnot. So I'm gonna just I think I gotta read. Kim. There we go. Sorry guys, give it a second.
young women savagely murdered and dumped.
She was in a field and like 85% skeleton.
Both victims leave 2 young daughters behind.
Someone out there knows something.
Now the question, do they both share the same killer?
He's a monster.
Detectives step up their hunt, tracking every tip, every clue, every loose end.
Justice needs to be done in these cases.
The field, the remains, the potential suspects.
Have you had any leads at all, any persons of interest? What kind of a little girl was Danielle?
Feisty.
Born on the 4th of July, Scott Greene tells our Billy Jensen his daughter was always a firecracker.
I can remember taking her camping and her just throwing a fit because she wouldn't pee out in the woods.
That feisty childhood spirit would serve Danielle well over the years, fueling her determination and drive.
She wanted to be a veterinarian. She had a heart of gold. I mean, she'd do anything for anybody.
And that's why Scott Greene can't imagine why anyone would want to hurt his little girl.
It's like a nightmare. I mean, that I live every day. I can't wake up from it. And it's fine.
The nightmare for Danielle's family begins on one crisp November day, a couple dozen miles south of Columbus.
2 farmers working a field discovered what they believed to be human remains.
When Sergeant Jared Collins and his team of investigators get to the scene, they confirm the worst.
We did have human remains laying by a creek roughly 200, 250 yards off the roadway.
It's the corpse of 25-year-old Danielle Greene.
The remains were essentially skeletal.
As family members struggle for answers, detectives wonder if Danielle's death could be connected to the murder of another young woman. 30-year-old Lindsey Maccabee. Cops discovering her body just a month before they found Danielle's, only 15 miles away.
Essentially, we had a body roughly 25 yards off the roadway in a already cut cornfield, fully visible from the roadway. The body had been deceased within 24-hour time period. Where were you when you heard the news?
I was at home, and the sheriffs came to our door and told us they found her body naked, bled out, severely beaten.
Cops now believe there could be a connection between Lindsey and Danielle's murder.
Both bodies were within proximity to County Road 17, which is Pleasantville Road, which runs essentially halfway across the county. Could it be possible that they were both dumped on the same night? No.
But the similarities are too chilling to ignore. Both from the same area of Columbus. Both the mother of 2 little girls. And then the biggest shocker, Lindsey and Danielle were friends. In fact, they lived together in the same house.
So who are we looking for? I wish we had the answers on even the type of person or the MO or anything that would give us that little piece of information we need to keep going on this.
Wish somebody would have seen something. Yeah. Anything.
Detectives took Lindsey's mother, brother, and our Billy Jensen back to where they found her body.
And this is a place, we got a railroad crossing right here. Anybody that's pulling up is going to be slowing down.
Right.
Do you think he wanted her to be found?
Well, it would appear.
And less than a dozen miles away, we're with Danielle's dad when cops show him where they found his daughter.
You think the killer could have known the area?
I think so. Generally, these things usually aren't random.
A father's pain unbearable, still haunted by his daughter's final moments.
You wonder if she suffered at all or went quick. I miss her so much.
Detectives don't know who may have killed the young women or why.
What about the people that you talked to on the streets? What did they say about Lindsey?
No one had anything bad to say about her.
Danielle's dad, Scott Greene, took us back to those streets where his daughter lived.
And this is the main strip of Parsons.
Scott and Crime Watch Daily went door to door looking for any piece of critical information. As we dug deeper, many pointed us in the direction of one particular place, this safe house for women.
We're here in South Columbus, where both Danielle and Lindsey lived together at this home, which had a nickname, the Home for Lost Children.
From inside the home comes Sierra, who says she was best friends with Lindsey and Danielle and lived with them at the Home for Lost Children.
Do you think the same guy killed both girls?
I do. Lindsey and Danielle was probably both together when they both got killed.
And Sierra takes it one chilling step further. She believes Lindsey and Danielle may have even known their killer.
I feel in my heart, I think we passed this guy. He's close to us, and he could be our next door neighbor. We don't know.
Back at the sheriff's department, detectives are listing names. Now, residents fear a serial killer could be living among them.
Do you think the person that killed Lindsey and Danielle has killed again?
That's a great question. I don't know.
Lindsey's brother hopes someone somewhere will see this story and come forward with the information that brings his sister's killer to justice.
I know she prayed to God, begging for her life. And yep, I miss her. And I love her.
And Danielle's heartbroken dad won't rest until they find the monster who viciously murdered his daughter.
I hope he gets the needle. I hope he suffers like she did. I just wish she'd come home one day, you know? I miss her so damn much.
If you know anything about the deaths of Lindsey or Danielle, you can submit a tip on the Fairfield County Sheriff's Office tip line at 1-740-652-7339. I'm Chris Hansen. If you like this story, make sure you tune in every day to Crime Watch Daily.
Okay. Excuse me. Sorry. So, now that you kind of have a background to the story, I always go to Web Sleuths. This is the oldest place to go to find any information on any cases that you may be interested in. And you could, any case you could think of, you'll find something on here. I guarantee it. And this right here brought attention to my mind, okay? Because it brought attention to me because later on, I actually have it here. I'll come back to this in 1 second. Right after they found those two girls, and this is a very small, very lightly populated area, another girl went missing, and she has very similar looks, whatnot. Here we go. A girl, Jamie Bowen was her name, and that, as far as I know, they still haven't found her. A poster hangs outside her home. Jamie lived here. She didn't have her own place, and she's like everywhere in this house, and that makes it really hard. Okay, so basically, the disappearance is in the same area where the families of Danielle Greene. So basically, the last place she was seen in South Columbus, Fairfield County area, whatnot, and so therefore there's three. But if you go to Web Sleuth actually, they've got these three, as being connected. But if you go down more, they found tons of girls that have been missing in this Chillicothe, Ohio area that all have similar backgrounds. You know what I mean? And so I just want you guys to know that the opiate epidemic has taken a group of women who probably would have never put themselves in that kind of danger. Here, I want to show you some things. Okay, this is, I believe is, what is it, News 10? Yeah, News 10 heroin at home. I'm going to just do this real quick, though. Hang on. Do it. Oops.
Heroin at home, an Ohio epidemic.
Oop.
News. Terry Revis.
Oh, it's
Published.
Oh, no. Yeah, no. Well, I'll just read it to you. I think my speaking thing needs to have its settings checked. For more than 5 years, heroin has been brewing into an epidemic in Ohio, leaving a deadly toll in its wake. 3 people a day are dying every day, on average, state statistics show. That number is just from those who died from heroin. When other drugs, such as pills, are factored in, the number of deaths jumped to 7 a day, you guys. But these are just not just statistics. These are Ohioans. Those dying are getting younger all the time. And, I just you can go through every article you read about this is always going to be pretty much the same backstory. It always starts with prescription pills. I told you I had an injury and I had endometriosis, and my first prescription was a Lortab. And within 18 months, I was a full blown heroin addict, and within another 8 months, I had lost everything in my life, including my freedom. And it's all about the decisions you make. And because the disease is controlling you, so unless you decide that you want help and you want freedom from that disease, then pretty much everything else is just a gamble of with a gamble with your body, your life, but you don't care. You don't at that time you don't care. Um, let's see. Basically, I just wanted to show you guys that 3 to 7 kids are dying a day right here. Overdoses have increased 419% in the past 10 years, with 1,539 in 2014. In about a year, I've been to at least 10 funerals from heroin overdoses alone, says one of the kids. It's crazy. Like, I can remember maybe 2 or 3 when I was that age. Here we go. Ohio averages 23 heroin deaths every week. Ohio also loses an average of 38 people a week due to opioid overdose. To put it another way, Ohio loses nearly 7 people every day. Yep, see? And then it has a lot. I don't need to go through the drug dependent babies, the number of women in jail, the number of children in care services, because that's not what this video is about. I just want you to understand that these 2 girls, they were people too. And they had a disease, just like diabetes is a disease that affects your sugar and your blood. They had a disease that affected them psychologically and physically, that without this certain chemical in their body, they were absolutely out of their mind, sick with withdrawals, and would do anything to get out of that situation. So, here we go, right here. This is the city right here, Chillicothe, Ohio. Okay, I'm going to play this real quick. This is actually a few weeks after Danielle, I believe, was found. I believe Danielle was found December 13th.
On the streets of Chillicothe, Ross County, Ohio, the banner going up at the courthouse says drug-free. The kids, maybe. The adults are struggling.
Shooting heroin nowadays seems like it's just like a person drinking beer. Like, it's not. It's so common and ridiculous. It's just taking over.
This 34-year-old is talking to us as long as we don't reveal her identity. She's getting a visit from the police and sheriff because she overdosed the week before.
It was just 1 shot of heroin and 6 Xanax bars, though.
On the streets of Chillicothe, Ross County, Ohio, the PORT team, that's the post-overdose response team, is making its Wednesday rounds. The overdose list this week is 8 names long. Most people don't seem to be home. Doors that don't open get a bag of brochures on how to stay sober and get help. there's always some level of discouragement because there are always going to be people that you can't reach, or stories you hear people overdose again and die after you've already contacted them. But that only makes it more important that we try to reach out to those people before that happens. Our camera is staying back and not identifying this man, so the team can do its work.
You're not in any trouble. We're just here basically to offer assistance, and that's it.
The team started in April. Since then, police, sheriff, and medical providers have made more than 200 visits. This is where the hills of Appalachia flatten into the Midwest. It is small town America. Like other parts of the country that's seen opioid addictions rise, it's a place where jobs and people have come and gone. A place where pain pills poured in, followed by heroin, cheap and available, like beer.
We're seeing overdoses at an epidemic proportion. We're seeing the use among individuals from all walks of life in our community. This has hit our community really hard.
In 2010, 19 people here died from overdoses. Last year, 40 died in a county of 77,000. On the streets of Chillicothe, Ross County, Ohio, the 44-officer police department responds to calls like a possible fight and a car wreck. Now, officers dispense medicine, too.
This cap comes off, so it's a liquid nasal spray. Since January, I've probably done it at least 50 times, and that's a low estimate.
Every officer carries naloxone, or Narcan, to reverse the effects of an opioid overdose. This is officer body cam footage released by the police department. We are blurring the identity of this overdose victim to protect his family's privacy. His 27-year-old later died. Each overdose can stretch the small department because several officers come to the scene. After taking care of victims, cars have to be searched for drugs. Officers reach into pockets and dig through trash, trying to avoid needles.
I ain't getting freaking hosed.
With the year nearly over, police have handled almost 300 overdose calls.
It's kind of taken on a life of its own just simply by the resources that are required to be dedicated to the efforts and stopping people from killing themselves.
People here say the addiction epidemic used to be talked about in whispers, if talked about at all. Then people started talking about addictions and overdoses.
We've not closed our doors. We've not rolled up our community streets. We've really come together with the idea that we're going to battle this epidemic.
On the streets of Chillicothe, Ross County, Ohio, the battle against drugs is visibly, loudly, fought by high school students one Friday. They're part of a club where joining requires a drug test. The students get discounts at local merchants if they stay clean. Those whispers about the addiction epidemic, not hidden, not today.
This is real. Drugs is taking over our hometown.
I came here basically to wake somebody up. I've been arrested 98 times here in Ross County. Learn what not to do.
They gathered beneath a banner that says drug-free in a town that is not yet.
It took you children to come together to start something so the rest of us could follow.
What there is hope for the 1,500 students on the street in Chillicothe, Ross County, Ohio.
I just wanted to take a couple seconds and make sure that everyone knows. Oops, sorry. I didn't realize it. There we go. Everyone knows that these girls left behind children. These children are motherless now. Motherless. Because of a disease that they couldn't win alone. They couldn't be alone. And now their parents are, I believe Lindsay's mother is raising her two daughters. And I believe Danielle's dad is raising her two daughters. And it's not something that they expected to do at their age or at their, and they're reaching out for help. And I kind of was disappointed to see that they barely even broke $500 in GoFundMe, yet someone, I won't mention names, but someone that got a little attention here in this last year managed to get how much in donations from across the city, across the country, how much in donations from YouTubers who were so concerned. And yeah, I find, that these girls is because they chose they chose because people thought they had a choice in what they were doing, because people thought that they chose every day to get up and do drugs and sell their body, that then therefore they don't deserve justice, that they don't therefore deserve peace, that they don't deserve of someone saying this isn't right, what happened to these girls. So, someone is out there that got away with murder, and a violent, vicious murder, and he left 4 more young women orphaned to be traumatized and have to grow up without their mothers in their lives and risk the same fate as their mothers. So I'm going to take a moment and say what I had to say for them. And, that's why I'm here tonight doing this, because this really touched my heart. This was one that I couldn't look away from. I really appreciate anybody that's still here at this point, because it's a tough subject. It's not pretty. It's not, the innocent 15-year-old girl that got lured away at a party. It's not, it's not those things. It's 2 grown women that had children that people think chose, and they just didn't have that choice. Again, Ohio. I just wanted to show you guys this. It's called the Pill Mill of America, Portsmouth, Ohio. It says the city peaked 40,000 people in 1940. It's now half the size. That's what I was trying to tell you. It's got a little about 20-some thousand people. But it's just, it looks like a third world country sometimes. If you look at some of these pictures, it looks like a third world country. I guess it's sad. It's sad what we're not talking about. It's sad that there's a generation of children all growing up with, of kids who all have to grow up now that dealt with parents as addicts, because we don't even know what that's going to do to them. We haven't seen the outcome of that yet. It's only just begun, and it's scaring the shit out of me, especially now since it's no longer just this pills or heroin. Now it's fentanyl and heroin mix. Right here. So there is a Facebook page. It doesn't have much on it, guys. Again, it's kind of a letdown, you know what I mean? Because I was really hoping that there'd be, 2 years of information on here that I could dig from and be help to this case. But the only help I can be right now is to use my platform to bring attention to the fact that the murder of these young girls and many other women in this area has still not been found. Oh, where is it? Okay. I just want to double check. It's not coming up. Oh, it's still loading. That's why. All right, let me come down here, guys. It's still loaded, so that means I gotta close some of them. It'll help make them run. I can close them. If you're interested, I do believe there's still GoFundMe's up. And if you can go to the either Facebook page and get the well, maybe not. Danny's doesn't have it, but you can go to go to her obituary on Danielle Greene's legacy.com obituary, and I believe that has the information in it that we're just talking about for her because her father actually gets on and asks for help quite a bit for like school supplies for the girls or help with holiday gifts for the girls, things like that. So this was the one I wanted to show you really quick. This is in Cleveland. It's Road to Hell. Prescription drugs took local teen from car accident to heroin addiction and forced prostitution. That's right. And now this is the girl's story. Lorraine. Oh, wait a minute. The road to hell, which for a teenage girl from Lorain County suburb ended in heroin addiction and forced prostitution, was paved in an Oxycontin prescription. So, as you can see, it says by 19, she was selling her body to feed a heroin habit and avoid the agony of withdrawal. And that's exactly what I'm saying. With the things, whatever you've told yourself you will never do in life, those are the things that will occur while withdrawing from opiates. And I wanted to bring this up. There it is. Okay. I was going to say it's called South Columbus / Fairfield County murder of young women. And Danielle Greene's pictures in the left. Uh-oh. Come on. Well, I'm trying, guys. Danny's body was found down by a creek, and the way, if you look at the Crime Watch Daily thing, I think this might be the area where it was found. All right, guys. Well, I think that's about it. I just want to say to the families of Danielle and Lindsey, Danielle Greene and Lindsey Maccabee, my prayers are with you. And if any credible tips come to my page, I will pass them along. But if you have any tips, there you can call. There is a tip line. I don't have it up here right now, but you can Google it. There's a tip line, a Crime Stoppers tip line. The Crime Watch Daily has it at the end. So, and many people have mentioned to me that I should definitely start a Patreon since YouTube is YouTube and has basically banned me from ever making any money. For a long time, I didn't want to have a monetized channel, but now I'm ready to, make this a full-time gig, and therefore I need help. And I started a Patreon page, and if you can kick in $1 a month, $5 a month, it's going to be really awesome. I'm going to be doing some live interviews with patrons. It should be good. Ask me anything. I think it's going to bring me out of my shell as well. So if not, then just subscribe and share the video. I've always been about getting the information out. That's the most important thing. But I would like to get my Patreon page built up so that I can start going live from there more. And since I still have like 3 more weeks until I can go live off this channel. All right, guys. Oh, yeah, this is what my page looks like. really quickly. I always put a picture of it up. I don't know if it's in a load. Excuse me. All right, well, you got that. It's patreon.com/Kate420. And I'll be back tomorrow night. I've got a couple videos I'm going to get edited together tonight and put out. But this one really, it just really made me think a lot about all of the lost girls out there. It's kind of what it is. It's an entire nation that doesn't pay girls any mind who die while being escorts. You know what I'm saying? Because they judge the fact that they're escorts. Therefore, well, they chose to be escorts. So it's their own. No, like we're all human. And for 1 second, you can't really believe that anyone would choose to be in that position if there was any other option for them. Sometimes we don't need to have chains on us to be chained up. Sometimes we don't. You know, we may look free, but we are absolutely hostage. And that's what we need to remember, and is to love our friends and our loved ones out of this. We need to be there for them, because you don't ever want to regret something that you could have said or done to bring someone, the help they need to battle this addiction. So, all right, guys, you have a great night.